Today I'm going to be drawing this cat portrait of Zoey. I'm going to start with these settings on my canvas, keeping it landscape and inserting my reference photo. On a new layer, I'm starting by using the Studio Pen tool and using this whitish cream color to outline the color in the base layer. I decided to separate the layer for the face and the body so I can work on the fur colors on different layers. Now on a new layer on top of this, I'm using the Eaglehawk brush to start adding her fur colors. Selecting the dark brown from the reference photo, I'm going to trace what I see in the reference photo below to layer the color. Now I'm selecting the light camel color to start coloring in. And now I'm selecting the pinkish mauve color for the ears. Now that the basic colors are colored in, I'm turning on the white base layer to see how transparent the colors are. And I'm gonna go back in with a dark brown to add more depth and shadows, repeating that for the whole face. After I'm done with coloring the face, I'm going to choose clipping mask on all the colored fur layers to stay on the white face shape layer. I decided to do this so that when I want to adjust the face shape later on, I could do so without having to do it in every color layer. Now I'm moving on to her eyes, starting with the darkest color and layering other shades of brown and yellow I see. After I get a rough sketch of it, I'm making the reference photo invisible again to see where to add more color. I noticed that the outline was a little bit too thin, so I'm adding more of this dark blue, almost black color for the outline of the eye. After drawing the eyes, I move on to adding her fluffy white fur and whiskers using the dry ink brush and picking this light pinkish white from the photo. This detail is pretty important because I think it really makes the drawing pop. I decided to see the face layer by itself and noticed that the shape of her face was a little off, so I went back to topping on the white face layer and using the eraser tool, slimmed up the silhouette a little bit. Staying on the dry ink brush, I finished drawing the face by adding her nose details. When I'm done with that, I select all the face layers and group it in one. Now let's move on to her body. I took a different approach for her body than I did for her face because her body was more in the shadow and I wanted to show her furriness a little bit more. Staying on the dry ink brush on the highest opacity, I selected the darkest brown from the photo to paint in the shadow layer. I'm going to paint on top of the reference photo on a different layer so that I could place the colors in the right place. At first, it's going to look a little bit weird, as you can see when I make the photo invisible, but trust me, it will get better. I chose to manually color in, even if it's a big area, because I wanted to keep the brush texture, and when you actually fill in an area by dropping the color, it tends to lose the texture. On a new layer, I'm going to repeat this with her lighter brown color. Once I'm done with this rough coloring, I'm going to select the dark brown layer to start adding her fur texture. Using the wet acrylic brush, which I love using for furry texture, I'm selecting a grayish brown color from the photo and making small strokes to mimic her hair all over. I'm going to repeat that again on her lighter brown parts of her body, but this time taking a darker brown from the photo. After that, I'm going to add some shadows to the white parts of her body on a new layer, using the same brush with a lighter gray color. After I'm done coloring the body, I'm going to choose clipping mask on all the colored fur layers again to stay on the white body shape layer. I noticed that the colors on the body weren't blended well enough, so selecting each colored fur layer, I'm using the smudge tool with the same wet acrylic brush to blend the colors together. After I'm done with that, I zoom out and check to see if I missed anything. And I wanted to add the fluffiness of her fur to her silhouette as well. So since I'm done with the individual layers, I decided I could just merge the body layers together and use the smudge brush yet again to make her outline fluffier. Since I really like this effect, I repeated that for the face as well by merging the layers together and using the smudge tool. I decided to choose this pretty blue for the background, and I'm done with the painting. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any suggestions as to what I should draw next, leave a comment below.